Uh, John Jr., hi. Is excuse me, the sound okay? How's the mic? Is sound all right? Is it too loud? Sounds good. Okay, good. Brand headlights. How you doing? Hey, Raj. Hi, Michael. Great. Hey, from Dublin. Now, on the last video I did, uh, I gifted Dublin the prime meridian. I think I had it off a few degrees. Hey, Dominic. Oh, hi, Gills. I hope I pronounced that right. Oh, hi, Javier. How you doing? It's Happy New Year to you. How's everything in New York? We were going to go to New York between God, what was it? Between Christmas and New Year's, but man, I tell you, it just this stupid breakout. I wasn't going to get on a train or anything else. Hey, Patrick, how you doing? Love visiting New York. Also visiting the kids. Uh, okay, where's the rancher? Hang on, I'll go get him. Hi, Hater. Hans, how are you? Uh, Hang on a sec. Okay, there we go. If we can make the rancher appear, I hope he will. Um, Hi, Monkey C, and see, come soon. We need the business. All is well otherwise. Hi, Owen Junior again. Good to see you guys. Um, Hi, Tourbillon. Great name. This morning, we talked about um, sort of the prices of watches getting to the point where there he is, that we couldn't afford, or at least I couldn't. I couldn't afford a lot of the watches I had, and so I was thinking, what are some alternative kinds of things that we could do with watch? Now, here's the caveat. Um, a lot of us, I think most of us really, I suppose, have got watches that are more than just watches. They mean something more to us than just something that keeps time. Our iPhones or Androids or whatever we have for our phones, they're going to keep better time than that. So is our computer. We know that, or we should anyway. But at the same time, we want to have an accurate watch because that indicates something about some ability to do with mechanics what is sort of has a tradition and something else to it. Okay. Hi, Lee. Um, all right. So we have that. And a while ago, and I've talked about this before, so correct me if I'm wrong, is that I started collecting a different kind of watch. And these are watches with a Jacquet 736 movement. I'm wearing one now. I've got one here. One was hijacked by my wife, um, and it looks better on her than it does me. And then I saw another one that I'm thinking of getting. And so, that's sort of like, and these are all very affordable. Hey, Tuna. And hey, Tim. So, there are two things about this. The prices are still decent. That I hope that doesn't change because just a few months ago, when I started getting some Daniel Roth and some additional Roger Dubuis, the prices were really great. They're not great anymore. So one of the things that we can do is we can look for alternatives way to go about collecting watches. So with my 796 or 736 collection like this one, so I thought, well, I'll put them on a time grapher and check them out and see how they're doing. And they're doing really bad. Uh, this one in particular is, really could use some service. Well, who knows how to service a 736, a Jacques 736? And so for a while, I've been talking to people on and off on this group and some other groups. Say, "Well, what do you think is the base movement for this?" Because Jacques SA was I forgot what they used. Basically, what the company did, and a lot of movement companies do, they just sort of movement prep companies. And what they would do, they'd buy all the parts and everything and put them together and sell them as completed movements to other companies who used them. They still do that, and they have different types of amounts to it. But one of the things that Jacques did, Pierre Jacques, was that in this one particular one, he decided that a lot of people wanted shaped movements for rectangular watches. Uh, oh, Roland Murphy of RJM watches that's located out in Pennsylvania. He bought a bunch of these back in about 1999. He had a watch that he made with him and then sold those out and then decided that he had a few more left, so he's going to come out with them again. And I talked to him, and I've talked to a lot of people, and it's sort of the best guess of what this movement is from is that what Jacques did was to take a some other movement and then put it into a shaped plate with it, okay, and into a shaped base plate. All right, so and like I said, the best guess is that it's a an ETA 7001. So what I did, and this is something else you can do too. It's not one of those things. Don't try this at home. You can if you want. But what I found, this is ETA used to have these great documents with all of the technical detail, and I downloaded enough of them and sort of looked around for them. They come in a PDF file, and they have all of this great information. And I don't know. Well, let me see. Hang on a second. Right here. They also come with something else. These are lubrication symbols, and they're for blah, 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 blah. Okay. These are for thicker ones. If you see this little thing here, it's for thicker, and this is for very little and very thin lubrication. And when I took my watchmaking class, they basically said, be very careful. They have pictures of these things where these things dripping oil or lubricant into watch parts. You never do that. You basically sort of touch them but you have to know the right places. Well, what ETA did is that they have all these little different symbols, and you know that these are for heavier lubes, and the ones like this are for lighter lubes, and so on and so forth. So I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, look at how that's not that complicated, really. I mean, when you look at that, it's relatively few parts, which is a nice thing about the 7001. The thing about the 6498 that everybody takes apart and puts back together again when learning watchmaking, the parts are a lot bigger. There aren't a lot of them. They're bigger. Okay, so one of the things I can do, go ahead and keep collecting these things, and they have hang on a second. Um, I have these things around me all over the place. These are great. If you don't have one or two, get them. And they're magnified, and you can look through here, and then they light things up like that, and you can really get a good look at the aha. So you can tell whether they're curb regulators or they're not called they're called free spun. I call them free range regulators. And so you go in there and take a little toothpick or something and move them around and to make adjustments. In other words, one of the things that you can do is you could play watchmaker. That's it as sort of a fun thing to do. Collect watches that are different. You have instead of the usual suspects, like I really like FP Journe watches. I love them. They're great watches, and thank God I have two of them right now. And I got them when I could afford to do it. But they've gone now. They're just sort of so out of range. They don't even think about it. And so this is what I want to sort of kick around is that, all right, if we can't afford the kind of watches we want, we can still do a lot of things with watches that are a lot of fun, very interesting, and really will build up our knowledge base and also go hunting for alternatives to watches that are just crazy expensive now. Watches, some other one, Groenfeld, love those watches. Lang and Heim, those are fantastic. Marco Lang, if they were available. Um, so there's sort of like, okay, so here's a different orientation rather than trying to save money to buy one watch that a few years ago I was able to buy five with, just sort of shifting gears. What do you think about having a Jacquet movement with an Agonor module attached to it? um I'll take an Agonor module in anything. I don't care if it's attached to a lawnmower motor. Those are great movements. I mean, uh, the yeah, it is a Jacquet ETA 7001 base. John, that's what the best guesses have been. Okay, whether they're right or not, when I take it apart, I'll find out. If I can't get it back together, I'll also find out. Like I said, this is when I printed this out. I probably I think I may have had it upside down. When I printed it out, you can see there's not that much involved. And the other thing that's good about it is hand wound. And then here you have this nifty little map, and you only need 2 grades of lubricant. And they come with these things that, it's sort of these special an eyedropper would be too big for the amount of lubricant you put in. But what I'm saying is this is that you can still do things, and these aren't expensive. Okay, maybe if I break enough of them, they'll become expensive. Hey, let me see some other. Hey, flippin' Zippo, how you doing? Do the Swiss boys and girls get together and play watchmaker like we used to play doctor? No. Oh God. Oh, okay. Okay. What do the Agenhor macho do, Ragga? Chronograph? Um, yeah, that's a good example, John. They have a chronograph. Agenor doesn't do watches; they do movements or modules for movements. There are. I got one. There. I first discovered Agonor when I got a Harry Winston by retrograde. This is the number of years ago, and I contacted Agonor, and I wanted to know, could you tell me anything about the by retrograde? And they sent me a diagram of it, and they're really great guys. And later on, I was able to get a hold of Van Cleef and Arpels with uh, one of the few Agonor movements. But going back to the chronograph, they're the ones that have that. It's called the Agongraph. That's won about I don't know half a dozen prizes for being the best chronograph ever, because the design is so literally revolutionary for chronograph. I mean, there's just on a whole different plane than you have your El Primeros and your something Dubois, Dubuis, one of those. This came out, I don't know, but 4 or 5 years ago, and they were originally in a Singer watch, and then they were in a, I think they were also in a Fabergé, but then they were also in most recently in an H. Moser, and they all won prizes as the best thing around. And Jean-Marc Viderec in 2007 won the best watchmaker award from the Grand Prix. So you have things like that, and um, I don't know. Hey, Alexei, you're cold in Moscow. Well, we're cold in New England today too. So, the cool thing, I don't know if this is true in Moscow, but a few years ago, um, we were in St. Petersburg, and they had these wonderful white nights. It was like daylight all the time, but I guess in the wintertime, you've got dark days instead of light nights. So stay warm, Alexei. Hey, Canadian Watch Monkey, I'm glad you made it. Um, okay, let's see what's going on. Ooh, Javier. Hope all is well across. Okay, I thought you said hope was across the pond, and they've got something for us. Hi, Oil Money. How you doing? Brigade is kind of a retail market toxic, massively discounted on the secondary. Yeah, a lot of these things, Oil Money. I've always liked the secondary market because they're far more affordable. And to me, watches that would drop hugely in price after they were bought new, to me, have always been the collector's best friend. Because and if they're really a good quality watch, give them a service and they're good as new. Um, Truman Burbank. So it's a Pazoo movement that Nomos uses as their alpha movement. Exactly. Very good oil watches. No, wait a minute. That wasn't. I was Truman. Sorry, Truman. Way to go, Truman. Hi, Mark. Okay, Alexi. Let's see. Great value horology with uh, good pieces. Okay, Brigade. Yeah, Brigade is starting to put silicon in their watches. That's my beef. That's just me. Enjoy your silicon. You know, maybe you can add a quartz to that. Okay. Yeah, the Brigade Classiques are really nice. I agree, Thomas. Yeah, we never got up to 0 Celsius today, or 32 degrees. I think our high to morning was, see, what is it right now? We were about was 14. Well, we're up to 28, which is about what? Uh -3 Celsius, something like that. It's our high. So, okay. Yes, John's point. It's a good time to learn about various movements since prices for new watches are too high. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And so, in a way, my fortune today was the fact that I found, well, this one's pretty good, but this one hasn't had the kind of loving care that it needs, and I wind it up and make sure that keeps the oils going and so forth. But it needs an overhaul, and so you know. So anyway, um, these are things that we can think about. Another thing too, it's good about uh, some of these little older watches. I and I'm s- there's still 21st century watches. I think some of the most interesting watches came out in the first 10 years of the 21st century. And that was when all of these guys who are great and famous and sometimes gone watchmakers had their own companies that like Roger Dubuis and Daniel Roth. A Daniel Roth watch now, if you go get a new one from Daniel Roth, they're over $100,000 for some kind of wonderful tourbillon. But it's just sort of like out of my bailiwick. High above the clouds, is Joma Shop a good place to buy watches? I think so. I was looking up a one of my favorite watches that you can still get a good deal on is the Tissot. What's it called? Tissot Heritage Petite Seconde. Love that watch. It's got a Unitas ETA 6498-1, so it's running at a nice 1800 VPH. I mean, it's like, it's sort of like you can pretend it's a Carry Voot and Lana because they run the same speed. Ah, oh no, oh no, Lee. Hey, William, you're late. Hater, what's up? Let's see. Have been taking a look at Andreas. Yes, on that. I think Andres Steller's watch. They have some really good deals right now. I mean, and when I say good deals, I mean compared to everything else. But they are definitely one I think that are seriously worth looking at. Yes, very good. Hey, Mark. Bonsoir. Best and easiest way to learn how to repair them about movements are pocket watches. Yeah, the great thing about pocket watches is two things. One, they're cheap, and two, they're big. And so you're dealing with bigger parts and so forth. I've got one in my drawer that unfortunately I had a part and was putting it together, transferred it into a wristwatch, and well, I broke it. That happens. I'll have to fix it. We just got back from the Keys Celtic Fest. Ha! You wore your kilt. Okay. Um, anyone want to buy a DR retrograde with a steel bracelet? Whoa! What are you talking about? I know a lot of people want to buy one. If you could design the perfect watch, budget irrelevant, which parts would you use from watches that are already in production? Ah, Thomas, I have the answer for that. Okay, here's what I would get. I'd have an Agonor movement. I'd have the case by Voutilanen and Kalin. I'd have the hands by Fiedler. I'd have the dial by Malum. That would be it. Um, those would be ideal. The um, these kinds of things that leads to another kind of opportunity, and there you can do it on many different levels. um, Let me get one out here. You can go ahead and make your own watch. This is one of the ones I made, and it's just one of those ones that uses a big old this is a clone, a Chinese clone of a 6897. You can tell the difference between a 6897. Let me see if I can get the light right on this thing. On a 97, the small seconds is over at 9 o'clock. On a 98, it's down here at 6 o'clock. But that's another thing you can do. And um, I've been working on a project now. I keep something. It's always something going on with this thing, and it turned out to be very difficult to do. But if you get uh, a 6498 or 6497, you can buy them for like 20-30 bucks from their what's it called, AliExpress. You can get those from China, and then you can get the hands and the dials and everything else. And so while you're working on it and learning how to do it, you can do it relatively inexpensively. I mean, very inexpensively. But the important thing, and I think that this is what John said, you learn a lot about I mean, about how a mechanical watch works. And yeah, so what if you break them? Yeah, I mean, like, if it's like that's sort of a your test of watchmaker seriousness. If you haven't broken any, you probably really haven't been trying very hard. How's that for an excuse? Um, is that perfect watch possible? We're gonna find out pretty soon, Lee. I mean it. Hey, Olive Dangerous. Oh, um, how highly do you rate watch being in the GPHG or not winning its category? Well, okay. To be in the GPHG, I have a watch, a really good watch that was entered into the GPHG. I think they went into the wrong category, and they got banged up pretty badly. In other words, they didn't even make it to the second level. If you have a watch and you put it in the Grand Prix, it depends on what category you put it in. If for a really inexpensive watch, you put it in what they call the challenge category. And the challenge category, they've made pretty loosey goosey, including they can, well, you can have a smartwatch or maybe some quartz in there. Uh, I usually the ones that win they're purely mechanical, but they're not like the greatest watches in the world. Then the next level is the petite aiguille, and the petite aiguille. These are watches under $10,000 or 10,000 Swiss francs, and some of them. I mean, these are the ones that. Harbring 2 has won on more than one occasion, and some of the and Stefan Kadoki, he won his. He kept it under 10,000 to win. So you can find some really good watches in there, but the competition is not quite as stiff. It's stiffer than it would be, let's say, with a challenge level, but it's not as stiff as you go into the men's watch. I think the men's watch is that probably the most competitive and the hardest thing to win there is because there's so many really good watches in that category. Um, so it depends which one you're in, I think. I'm hoping that they're going to change the categories. They have this one category called iconic. They ought to call it ironic because, I mean, like, what does iconic mean? Like, it's, you ran out of ideas, and so you come back with a heritage version, and they're going to give you a grand prize for that. I don't know. I think if you enter it though, one thing is if you put a watch into the competition, um, you're going to get it noticed because people are spending a lot of time trying to figure out, well, gee, who's going to win? And I picked a lot of watches to win that haven't won, but I like them anyway because I had to spend time looking at them and finding out about them. So the answer to your question is that, what about that? And I think the answer is, I think it's a good thing to enter because you have a lot of experts looking at your watch uh, in the context of the entry category. Rolex entered two watches. I think they were both in the same category, and they both lost. They were in once back in 2007, and they never went back again. Instead, they stuck Tudor out there in the lower levels, and they won several. Um, so anyway, Olive Dangerous. uh, that's sort of a roundabout answer. It's like the thing about that I like about the Grand Prix is that every watch that's entered, and you can find out all of the details about it up to a point. I mean, they don't give you as much details as they have. If if the watch is called, if this is a Swiss made watch or a Swiss movement, that means they didn't do it. And they're not going to tell you who it is. I mean, probably ETA or somebody like that, or Salida now that ETA isn't selling them. But you got to learn how to read. You have to read a lot of those things, It's probably about 90% hot air that they're writing about, but then you can find out about a lot of little details they have, the price, the sometimes you can find out some details about the movement, things like that. Rancher, I'm not supposed to talk about that. Talk about what? What? S- Talking about what? Oh, it's frying pan time. Saved by the Bell. Okay, let me see it. Yeah, Alexi, Singer Track 1 can still be bought with a normal price. At least, yeah, but a normal price is like $40,000, I think. Alexi, unless I'm wrong. If you're talking about yeah, the Singer Track 1. What a watch. I like them all. Okay, what do we, your audience, have to do to get you nominated? I'm working on it. uh, I like some tutors, but one of the ones I like the most is the same movement as a winning watch and similar design. Tudor has gone in there with the same watch, it seems, with a different paint job and won a whole bunch of them. And the competition isn't exactly too difficult. Is that pan Teflon or silicon coated? I don't know. Okay, guys, hot air is more important to watches than the oil in the gearing or the rubies in the movement. Yeah, that's true. Okay, gotta go. Thank you, guys. Listen, think innovative. If you can't afford this, and I can't because find another thing. Find another. Oh, I tell you another one too. There's some. There's a place. There's a Chinese watch company called Perpetual in Hong Kong, and I got a regulator from there. It was $200 for a regulator, and so I could check off in my regulator box. But they also have a tourbillon for some like around 1,000 or something like that. And they have some other ones too that might be another fun thing to do. And you're not going to impress anybody, but they're a lot of fun. Anyway, yeah. Javier, stay well, stay safe. Yes, that's true for everybody. This stupid Omicron is going around knocking people off like mad. So everybody be really careful. Okay. You're going to need that N95 mask, and you're going to need to avoid idiots. That's my advice for today. Avoid idiots.